go find those people. Find that co-pilot. Find the expert guide in your life. Ask them to go on a road trip with you. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I am your host, Brian, and thanks so much for being back with me again on the Success Lift podcast. This is episode 196. I cannot thank you enough for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, who have subscribed, who are leaving comments, who are engaging with me, everyone who is continuing to share the show, whether it be via Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or now, as you hopefully know, I've been talking about it a lot. You can stare at my slightly bald head and watch me on YouTube a little bit. And that's been fun. It's been fun to see us just get this thing off the ground from like literally 6 feet deep. So we're not even at surface level yet. But we're going to keep plugging away. I'm going to keep producing a show for you once a week. We're going to stay true to what I decided I was going to do over 3 years ago. And I hope you're enjoying it. And if you are, would you share it with somebody? I would love to see this show continue to grow at a faster rate. We always want more, right? We always want to get there faster. We always want to achieve more in a shorter period of time. And that's actually what I wanted to talk about today with you. I wanted to talk about, getting results faster and the journey and the destination. And there's that saying that you hear a lot. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. Well, I don't know. Is it? I mean, I'd like to get places. I have goals. I don't want to just like sit on the side of the road and say, what a great journey this is, and it's also not just about getting ultimately to where you have to be. It's about what you experience along the way. So it's like, just like everything in life, all debates, everything is contextual. Anything in nutrition is contextual. Anything in politics is contextual. You have your own unique experiences that you bring to a conversation, and so do I. And so oftentimes what I think is the most important component to a discussion is because it's my experience, and you feel the same way about something completely different because it's yours. And I think that's where nuance gets often overlooked and missed in conversations, especially in this era that we live in of, 60 words or 60 characters or whatever it is on Twitter or X, or, quick comments or snapbacks or short posts, 15-second clips of videos that can be spliced together. And obviously not even to mention the echo chamber that we all live in of our own feeds, right? Our own social media feeds. You are being fed what you constantly pay attention to. And so we're just reinforcing whatever narrative we believe, whatever experiences we've had. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole at all, but it relates a little bit to this topic that I talk to clients about. I tell, and this, let me back up for a second here. I'm sharing this message because I have shared this theme of a message enough with either clients or friends or anyone that I would talk to who is struggling, or we were just kind of discussing aspects of their journey with me or for themselves. And it usually resonates really well. And I've had a few people that you should like turn that into a podcast. You should share this somehow for people because it is really helpful when you hear it. So that's my intention today. And so where I'm going with that explanation for you is reach out to me if you have topics that you want to hear me talk about. You can reach me at brian@thesuccesslift.com. You can reach me on Instagram and LinkedIn, I guess via like a DM. If you know me, text me, call me, say hello to me. But let me know if there are topics that you struggle with, there are questions that you have. I don't do a ton of Q&A episodes, but I certainly could. And as all things in most areas of what I talk about, mindset, relationships, health, wellness, lifestyle stuff, answers are usually contextual, nuanced, and you can stretch on many of them and not just have a 30-second soundbite or a 60-second opinion about it. And so I often tell clients that I work with that I am their COO for a period of time, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it may be. I come in and I assist you in operating the business of your life. But make no mistake, you are the CEO. There is no coach, there is no program, there is no one out there that can come in and take control of your life, at least resulting in you having long-term success. Because you have to drive your own car. You are the CEO of you. And I just ride shotgun when I come in and assist you along the way. And that's exactly the analogy that I play out for clients of mine. We are on a road trip. Let's road trip, baby. All right. And I am your shotgun. All right. I'm going to ride shotgun with you. I'm going to help you formulate the plan. We're going to map out this long distance drive we have. We're going cross country. All right. You and I are getting in the car from New York and we're going to LA. All right. I'm riding shotgun. I am not driving the car. Maybe if you're going to fall asleep, I'll grab the wheel. But for the most part, this is your drive. What we have to do is map out our route. Now that might change over time, but we're going to have a general idea of where we want to go. Okay. We know where the destination is. It's very important that we get there, but it's not a race. Okay. It's not timed, but we certainly can't take forever to get there. Okay. So we're not going to drive 24 hours a day straight through the night. We ultimately have to stop to refuel anyway. We're probably going to stop to refuel our bodies, not just the car. We're going to maybe see some sights. We're going to have to sleep a little bit, but ultimately we want to get to the destination. But we don't just get in the car without packing bags. We don't just get in the car without having an objective. We don't just get in the car without at least talking through what our ultimate goal is. Hey, do you want to go up, the northern part of the country, out Route 80 and go through Chicago and head that way? Or do you want to go down south and then take the 10? I sound like I'm from California now. Take I-10 all the way across the country from Charlotte into Los Angeles. So we have to map out, generally speaking, what direction do we want to take? Are you comfortable driving at 85 to 90 miles an hour on the highway? Or are we going to do 65? Now, if we drive 80 to 90, as you know, we will go faster and we will most likely get there sooner. But what are the risks of driving 85 to 90? Well, we might get pulled over a couple times. We might incur some speeding tickets. That might slow us down. That might set us back. That might be the equivalent of you dieting aggressively, you doing dry January and getting pulled over on January 12th because you're going too damn fast, as opposed to reducing alcohol from 3 days a week or 4 days a week to 1 day a week for the month of January. That might be the equivalent of you doing 65. Couple old ladies just driving in a car doing 65 down a highway, me and you. All right, so we want to have general parameters, a 30,000 foot view of where we're going, where we're at. We obviously know we're starting in New York in this analogy, right? And so that's the overall analogy. You've probably heard, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, I don't know. You may have heard me talk about this analogy of using Waze. A lot of us get into the car and we put on the GPS. I'm a Waze guy. I don't know if you're Google Maps. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's the same principle. The GPS knows 3 different pieces of information, okay? Or it needs the 2 pieces and it gives us the 1, all right? It knows where we're at based on GPS, on our location, but it's got to know where we are. If we turn off location services or if we turn off its ability to know where we are, it can't tell us where to go. It obviously has to tell us where we have to tell it where we want to go. It needs our goal. I can't really help you if I don't know your goal. You may not have a goal of weight loss. You may have a goal of improving your marriage and just increasing your energy and your mood and your mental clarity. I have some clients that don't really give a shit about body composition. It's kind of weird. It's like therapy. We just talk. Strange for a guy like me. but I'm getting good at it. Right? They just want better connection in their marriage. They want more clarity around their job. I did their job for a long time. They get me. They know I get them. They take walks. They don't eat like shit. They don't drink themselves into oblivion, but don't have me lift weights, Brian. I have a couple clients like that. That's okay. And so I got to know where you want to go. Now, the expert ways, a guy like me, a great program you go in, the thousands of great coaches out there. They've been there, done that. They've made this drive before. So they know with those two critical pieces of information that you give them where you're at, where you want to go, and then really how fast do you want to get there. They can construct the route. They can build out the road trip for you. And then they can hold you accountable along the way during that trip. Brian, you're going 75. You said you're only going to go 65 on this trip. No big deal, but I'm just letting you know you're running the risk of potentially going too fast and maybe getting pulled over. Now, here's where people talk about the journey and the destination. It's about both. It's about both. And I'm constantly talking to clients about kind of like view it as like a triangle, right? Along the way, you have these little stops, right? So where are you right now? We're in Pennsylvania, our first stop. We're going to get lunch. We've been driving for 5 hours. Cool. All right. What have we done along the way? And where do we still have to get to? And now this is a little bit more relevant when we're talking about, maybe further into the trip, or let me flip it to actually real life. You're 2 months into a program. Your ultimate goal is to lose 40 pounds. You're down 6. If you do that math, you're not quite on track, especially if you take into the human emotion element. You're way behind, right? Because if we're going to lose 40, we're going to lose 20 in the first 3 weeks in our heads, just because we decided. Good luck with that. And so I have to constantly have this conversation, and this isn't like a I told you so or a set up to dunk on people. It's like, all right, you're down 6. I know you want to be down 40. Let's just kind of review what your last 2 months has been like. It was the holidays. We started right around Thanksgiving, and you had a lot of work obligations. You had a lot of social obligations. You actually traveled with your family for a couple of days, for a week or so, whatever, around Christmas time. Took a little holiday vacation. And then you did have a quiet week or two in January, but then it kind of got right back to it with your work travel. And you're still sort of finding your legs when it comes to like staying on track. And so like you're doing great, you're doing better, but you've also been able to experience all of these things. And oh, by the way, when is the last time you lost 6 pounds in the month of December and into January and didn't put on 7 or 8? I don't do that as a setup of like, hey, we're doing a great job. I'm actually worth the money. I do it because then I actually pose the question to them. Well, what do you want? What do you want more of? Do you want more results? Right? Do you want to get there faster? Do we need to get back in the car at the rest stop and drive faster? Do we need to not stop in 3 hours to stretch our legs? Do we need to skip a meal and just grab some food to go in the car so that we can go 6 straight before we have to get gas? Those are options, right? Those are options. That's not like this isn't a challenge your manhood or your womanhood of like, are you willing to do the work? Most people, ultimately, if they understand the context around it, will do it if you can motivate them. Now, motivation has to come from you, not from your coach. But when you explain it to them like that, they start to understand. And a lot of people, when you do that, they're like, well, I kind of like how I was able to go on vacation with my family and still enjoy some alcohol with my husband or my wife. I kind of need to, socialize when I have these work trips. And yes, I'm a work in progress, and we're prioritizing getting early work in and shutting it down a little bit earlier, bookending. This is going to be a side note, real quick side tangent here. busy professionals, if you are not attacking the bookends of your day, you're dead. You're absolutely dead. If you're not waking up and dominating your first 2 hours for yourself, or maybe that's the first hour, depending on what time your day starts, and you're not having a process to wind down and create a routine for yourself and set yourself up for tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to start tonight for you, you really have no chance. Because I know how chaotic the day is, right? I lived it. I mean, I still live it as an entrepreneur and a parent, and I still live it. I don't live being in the office and that commute and all that stuff, but I know it. Did it for 20 years, right? I know a lot about you. So if you're not at least bookending your day, you're dead. Now, obviously, I'll show you how to maximize and optimize those moments, micro moments inside the office, and that's where I found that's the magic. We lock in on both sides of our day, and then we find these micro moments, and that is the magical formula for you to continue to work, your figurative balls off and still get phenomenal results in your personal life. I don't even know where the heck I was and why I started down that path. I know that we're on our journey though. And I know that I was talking about being at a rest stop and whether or not we need to speed up, or you actually understand that this is part of the process, right? Part of the journey. And that's where it's about the journey, not the destination. Now, here's where it can get real gray real quick for a lot of people. You still got to get to LA. You still have to get to the destination. And too many of us get caught up in the rest stops. I often say it, I don't know why I thought about it. It was maybe because the Kansas City Chiefs have been constantly on my mind. I'm not bringing them up because of the Super Bowl result. But I'm like, you and I have never been to a Kansas City Chiefs game. Or we're driving, I got a bunch of clients in Texas. We're driving through Texas. You're from Texas, you don't live there anymore. What are you gonna do for me? What are you gonna do with me? You're gonna take me to every barbecue spot, every spot that you know that is great. All right, so we're either in Kansas City or Texas, it doesn't matter. All right, we're going to a game. We're gonna go to a Chiefs game. Okay, we're gonna go to a Chiefs game or we're gonna go to a UT game. Either one. I've never been to either, you've been to both. You are super excited to take me to this game and have me experience what you've experienced before in your life. We're gonna tailgate, we're gonna do the whole thing. We're at Arrowhead, we're yucking it up. We're in Austin, we're having a great time. We go to the game, partying a little bit, take a little break from our plan, having some pulled pork, having some barbecue, drinking, just enjoying ourselves. And then at some point I go, hey, we got to get back in the car. And you're like, I don't want to get back. This is great. This is great. We're at the game. We're enjoying ourselves. We're having fun. Wasn't this the greatest experience of our life? I said, yeah, it was great. It was great, but it's Tuesday. The game ended 2 days ago. And we're still in the parking lot tailgating. We got to get back on the road. Remember, we got to get to the destination. I find that little analogy there, resonates with a lot of people because it's like, well, of course we'd want to go to the game. Of course I'd want to experience something that I've never experienced before, especially if it's something that I care about, like a sporting event. How fun is that? But we spend far too long in the parking lot, maybe before, but definitely after. We don't get back on the road, headed to our final destination. And now, would I want to skip the game? Would I want to just show up for kickoff and leave in the third quarter? Sometimes. I don't really love traffic, but not at a game like that, right? So it doesn't matter if we get to LA 2 hours earlier because we didn't spend an extra 2 hours in the parking lot in Kansas City or Texas somewhere, right? Figuratively speaking. Who cares if we get there 2 hours earlier? We want to experience something that we'll remember for the rest of our lives. When we pull in to the destination, are we going to say, amazing, we got here at 2 p.m.? Or are we going to say, the next morning, that time that we stopped and watched and experienced that thing was sick. but then we can't pull in 4 days later and say the same thing. So you understand, like, I'm moving all over the place with possible outcomes, but that is exactly how our lives go. Far too often, we get in the car for our road trip and we don't have clearly defined plans of where we want to go. We don't know the most optimal route that an expert is going to share with us, AKA your GPS. If you're in New York and you want to go to Boston and you head south on the New Jersey Turnpike, you ain't getting to Boston anytime soon. And so it's the same type of approach of like, you got to know generally which way to go. Now that was this pretty silly, completely 180 direction analogy. It would be knowing that, I-95 in Connecticut and the Merritt Parkway are usually tough rides at a particular time. So you're going to take another highway, right? So like understanding where to go and when is really important. Understanding when to stop, when to slow down, when to be like, you know what? It's just going to be a really tough season. It's rush hour. Anyone who's ever been on the Merritt Parkway or I-95 or any highway around the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area will know it doesn't really matter where you go, what highway you take. They're all going to suck. And so maybe we pull over and we have dinner, right? Regroup. So it's understanding when to have these expectations, when to put your foot on the gas, when to know that no matter how much you put your foot on the gas, it probably is futile. It's knowing when you need to pull over. It's knowing when you need to get your ass back on the road. It's having an expert, having a co-pilot that can at least take the wheel when you have to do something with your hands for a brief moment. But I can't put my foot on the gas for you. Ultimately, you can drive the damn car off the road if you want. Ultimately, you're going to determine the speed at which we travel. Even though I might be there suggesting you speed up or suggesting you slow down. I can ask you to change lanes, but you're the one who's changing lanes. And so just think about that example of, having someone beside you riding shotgun to have a conversation, to share, an expert opinion about, to give you a little bit of assistance here and there, is really valuable, really, really valuable, especially if they've driven that road before. I have driven the road that most people, if not all, of the people that I work with want to go down. And so if you are on a path, on a journey to get somewhere, I would highly suggest that you find someone that has driven that road, because they will understand better than anybody else what it takes to get there. I would highly suggest you find somebody that has the results that you want. That is the number one attribute that I look for in a coach. Do they have they achieved what I'm looking for? Are they living the life that I want to live in whatever area, or maybe all areas? I am not hiring a fat fitness coach. I saw this poll on I think he's an advisor. I don't know his name. He's a pretty popular doctor on Instagram. That doesn't mean he plays a doctor. He's actually a doctor. I think he's the Weight Watchers consultant, like Sarnofsky or something like that. I like his content. He's a big proponent of the GLP-1 medicines, Ozempic, Wegovy, stuff like that. Let's not get into that conversation. I actually probably have an opinion that that would surprise you about them. But he put up a poll. I just saw like a random post, and it was something to the effect of like, do you want your doctor? Do you need your doctor to be in shape? Like, would you trust your doctor if he's fat? He or she is fat, something like that. And again, so much context, so much nuance, so much like it depends around everything. But like the split really surprised me. It was 52 yes, 48 no. I don't know, like if I did this podcast smoking a cigarette, drinking a vodka, talking to you about health advice, and I just shared with you that my wife was considering divorcing me, and I'm giving you marital advice. And I flew off the handle because like the door opened and my 9-year-old, while I was recording, wanted to ask me a question. And then I told you about mindset advice. Would you take me seriously? So it's like, find people who have what you want. Are they living the life that you want to live? That's a great question to ask yourself too. Creating this future version of yourself that you desire to be. And maybe it starts with, a vision board and a model that you want to look like. Ladies, a female that you find incredibly accomplished, vibrant, attractive, successful. Are you in any way, that version of yourself? Craft this version of yourself, who you want to become. You can carry that person around with you. It's a real-time coach that you have. Is that person proud of you based on a decision that you're about to make? That is a real-time question you can ask yourself. The answer is always really clear. Does the future version of Brian, who has all the things that I want, who looks the way that I want, who has the marriage that I want, who does the things, who impacts the people that I do, does he make this decision right now? Is he proud of the decision that I'm about to make? I already feel like the weight on my shoulders. Damn it. I usually ask that question when I'm trying to negotiate with myself. Find people, find coaches, find relationships in your life where people are further ahead. They are trailblazing paths you want to go down. It's not to say that someone who hasn't been down the road can't help you, but like, why would you ever, unless it's like a close personal friend of yours, why would you ever want to, even like, I'm thinking now to like the first 10 people I ever asked to work with me in April of 2018. I'd never coached anyone before in an official relationship, but I was still a little bit further down the road than every one of those 7 that said yes. All of them knew that I was slightly further ahead at some point of my life and were like, hell yeah. Some of them probably just felt sorry for me and wanted to help me out, and I appreciate that. But others were like, at least all of them at some point, because they weren't just looking to donate money to me. They knew I had money. All of them were like, yeah, you can add some value in my life. Let's do this. And so go find those people. Find that co-pilot. Find the expert guide in your life. Ask them to go on a road trip with you. Figure out your destination. Get clear on it. Crystal clear on it. Understand like about how long you want it to take. And then find some really cool places along the way to stop. Because ultimately, when you get there, you're going to be really excited that you're there. But you're also going to go, that was a pretty sweet ride. Arrowhead's amazing. Go back to a Chiefs game any day. I bought that barbecue in Texas. Sick. Loved it. That stopover in Colorado, Denver area, never been there before. Oh my God, beautiful. Beautiful. That last 6 hours from Phoenix to LA, absolutely nothing. There's nothing there. I've done that drive a lot. If you ever look out the plane in the last hour of your trip from the East Coast to the West Coast and you say to yourself, I wonder what's there. Nothing. Nothing's there. All right. So that to me is the perfect combination of your road trip, of your cross-country trip. Understanding when you want to get there, having a goal, pushing yourself constantly. Every once in a while, I can get there faster. I get there a little bit faster. I could do a little more. Understanding when to stop. Refueling. Taking a pause. Recharging yourself. Enjoying the sights along the way. But ultimately getting your ass to the destination. If you guys enjoyed this one, if it resonated with you, if you can relate to getting in the car and going someplace and having a co-pilot with you and listening to radio or listening to music and singing songs together and understanding which road to take and maybe veering off and hitting a rest stop and getting back in the car and doing it again. That's life. That's life. Share this with somebody. I would truly appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, it would mean the world to me if you did. I appreciate you. I'll see you back here next week.